In the most glorious year of my marriage, I proposed divorce. Ethan laughed at me. Nina, don't be like those silly women who only want love and not life. Then I moved out of the villa, and he stopped my credit card. He always achieves his goals without shedding blood, trying to make me submit obediently. But I had been preparing for this divorce for 5 years. What's so worthy about such a shallow, despicable and fickle man that I should continue to maintain this marriage? In the 12th year of marriage, it was the most glorious time for me as Ethan's wife. Ethan inherited the Ethan family group. My son Jasper was admitted to School A in advance. The largest charity banquet in Jiangqing hosted by me will be held next week. And a 5-carat perfect pink diamond ring has just been handed to me by Ethan. As a wife, where can you find such a husband? The complacent Ethan pulled my neck and gave me a long and deep kiss. I pushed him away with a faint smile. Ethan was in a good mood. He didn't get angry at my refusal. He just let go of me and teased, "You've been indifferent for a long time. How can we have another child?" I didn't answer him. I was concentrating on looking at that $10 million diamond ring. Ethan threw his coat into my hands and walked through the dining room towards the study. I said softly, "The ring size is too big." After a moment of silence, I said again, "Let's get a divorce." The hand on the doorknob paused. As if realizing something, he turned around. Under the gold-rimmed glasses, those jet-black pupils glistened with the fragmented light of the crystal lamp. Ethan asked uncertainly, "What did you say?" I repeated calmly, "Let's get a divorce." Ethan's expression was surprised and amused. "If the ring size is too big, just change it." Divorce? You can't be like some women who, when tired, abandon their husbands and children and want nothing? I looked up. In his eyes, I was wearing a cashmere shawl with a beige silk dress, and my meticulously curled hair was draped behind me. Gentle and meek. Proposing divorce really seemed like making trouble for no reason. Ethan adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, and a sarcastic smile flitted across his lips. "Do you still remember the days when you were driven out of the villa?" I remember. It was in that night wind in December that my knees were damaged. He bent his head and whispered in my ear, as cold as a snake spitting out its tongue, "Nina, without me, you have nothing. Why suffer again?" I lowered my eyes. I caught a glimpse of the flirtatious conversation between him and his 5th secretary on his phone screen. When he noticed, he still left his phone on without restraint. He stroked my hair like petting an animal and smiled, "Nina, never be like those silly women who only want love and not life. I just had a drink and my stomach is a bit uncomfortable. Get me some medicine." After saying that, he entered the study. Aunt Lou in front of the kitchen quickly went to get the medicine. The villa was instantly silent. But it doesn't matter. This is not December. In April, Jiangqing is full of spring blossoms. I will always remember that December night when I was driven out of the villa. That was the 7th year of marriage. The gorgeous night view of Jiangqing was in full view. And I stood barefoot in front of the villa. The thin sweater was filled with night wind, and I trembled with cold. My legs were frozen. But I still spinelessly continued to be Ethan's wife for 5 more years. Because I had nothing. I am the famous Cinderella in Jiangqing. A gambling father, a weak mother, a brother who lives off his parents, and a broken her. After exhausting all efforts, I married into the Ethan family. This was the description of me on the gossip page 12 years ago. Everyone thought that in this marriage, I was for money and always meekly obeyed Ethan's control. But the wealthy are more stingy than people think. For so many years, I have been using his secondary card and enjoying the property under the name of the Ethan family. Including this 10 million pink diamond today, the ownership is not mine. When I was driven out of the villa, I didn't even have a car that could be driven out. So, Ethan naturally thought that my proposal for divorce was making trouble for no reason. But I had been preparing for this divorce for 5 years. The next day, Ethan seemed as if nothing had happened and left early. When I pushed my luggage through the dining room, I slowly lifted the table flag with my arm. Bang, with a sharp and vibrating sound, the sound of things breaking resounded in the huge villa. Ethan's favorite bone china and crystal tableware became as broken as my marriage, scattered all over the floor. I lightly picked up the table knife and slashed it as I passed the sofa. We were in love many years ago. On this sofa, Ethan liked my restrained gasps, also liked to make me cry silently, and even more liked my helpless pleas. Who he liked to do this to later is unknown. Jasper came downstairs with his schoolbag on his back. His young and handsome face had a maturity beyond his age. He said crisply, "Mom, goodbye." His warm hand held mine, and he turned and left for school without looking back. I took a few deep breaths. Walking to the door, the yard was filled with morning light. The sunlight fell into my eyes just in time, so dazzling that it gradually became blurred. Tears quietly slipped down. The divorce agreement was placed on the table in the living room. In the agreement, I gave up custody of Jasper. Jasper and I, mother and son, each go our own way. Ethan was right. I don't be like those silly women. I want money and freedom, and a good life. Aunt Lou helped me move my luggage to Tina's Riverview apartment. She looked regretful. After so many years, you bring so little? I smiled faintly. What I don't own, if I take it, it will be divided. Ethan's mother is very meticulous about women's things like jewelry and haute couture. Anything over 100,000 is registered under the company in her name. I think she is an experienced person and is very familiar with how to torment a powerless wife. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the apartment, the round sunset and the shimmering water surface of the river were like sparkling gold. Finally, I felt a little more relaxed and peaceful. Ethan appeared in the message bar of my phone. Really moving out? What's the fuss when the Ethan family is at its best? Do you know what leaving means? The ordinary sentences indicated that he was angry. In no time, I received messages about stopping my credit card and freezing my savings card. Ethan, it means that without me, you have nothing. I chuckled. As expected, for so many years, Ethan has always been polite and decisive. Just like that cold night when he drove me out of the villa. He always makes me yield without shedding blood. Unfortunately, he is disappointed. I already have a lot of money. Stopping my card has no threat to me. Everyone thinks that I married Ethan for money. Ironically, I really love him. When I met Ethan, he was competing with me for the last 10 yuan boxed lunch. At that time, the Ethan family was on the verge of bankruptcy, and Ethan was a fallen phoenix. He is the most handsome and noble-looking man I have ever seen in a white shirt. I supported him with 3 boxed lunches and a broken umbrella, and when I was chased by my father's creditors and couldn't work, it was he who saved me, and we hid everywhere. A bankrupt handsome man and a poor woman being bled dry. 2 drenched people had no choice but to keep warm together. At that time, we should have had a little love. Later, the Ethan family was revived. I got pregnant unexpectedly. I hesitated to find him, ready to break up with him and get a sum of money, but he said he wanted to marry me. In our previous relationship, I was still relatively calm and could leave at any time. At that moment, I was lost. My life is a string of endless misfortunes and despairs. My parents both want to drag me down and make my life miserable. But Ethan, who has everything, didn't abandon me. I still believe in gods. I regarded him as the shining star in my desperate life. Facts have proved that when you regard a man as a god, your faith will surely collapse. I woke up from a pile of wine bottles in the midday sun. After so many years in the Ethan family, I am like a wound-up screw. I have never dared to get dead drunk. I have to get up early to take care of Ethan and Jasper's lives and stay up late to deal with the aftermath for Ethan's mother. Alcohol makes people feel much more relaxed. I feel that the huge stone weighing 1,000 pounds in my heart has been removed. After I contacted my lawyer and instructed about the divorce, I quickly rushed to Tina's jewelry company. Before the divorce is officially finalized, quickly complete this final big deal. When Mrs. He saw the 5-carat perfect pink diamond I was wearing, she enviously said with a hint of sarcasm, "Oh, you are usually so simple. As soon as Ethan takes over, you wear such an expensive diamond." Mentioning Ethan, there was still a twinge in my heart. I smiled as usual. "Mrs. He, this pink diamond of mine can't compare with yours that's coming up. Tina has gone to great lengths to find it for you." The fine lines at the corners of Mrs. He's eyes opened up, and she looked at me expectantly. This pink diamond was the only one I wore out. Mrs. He likes to compare the most, although this pink diamond doesn't fit well, it can help me make the deal. I pushed the jewelry box prepared by Tina in front of her and said, 5 carats, from Myanmar, unheated, pigeon blood red certified by SSEF. With each word I said, the surprise on her face grew bigger and bigger. I finally said, the top notch. At the Jiangqing charity banquet in a month, it will definitely attract everyone's attention. Mrs. He immediately picked up a pen and signed the bill. The largest luxury banquet in Jiangqing attracts everyone's attention. For many wives, it's all for this one event every year. After Mrs. He left, Tina gave me a thumbs up. You can be flexible. You managed to hold back and didn't say anything about the divorce. Awesome. I smiled. Why be at odds with money? Having been in the circle of rich wives in Jiangqing for 10 years. From being despised to being familiar with them to being praised, only I know how much I have paid. It is only right to gain benefits from them. Tina quickly transferred 3 million in commissions to me. The transfer information and Ethan's message popped up on the phone message bar at the same time. Nina, come back if you know you're wrong. Times bank account has received 3 million.00 yuan. I frowned and chuckled. Ethan is as superior as always. At this moment, he is like a clown. But since I can have a place in the wives' circle in Jiangqing, how could I not pave a way out? My love for him was completely exhausted in the 7th year of marriage. Before that, I was happy to do it. After signing the harsh post-marriage agreement and having no wedding, I quietly moved into Ethan's ancestral home, gave birth to Jasper, and took care of them gently and meticulously. Except for dissuading me from improper behavior, Ethan's attitude towards me is always indifferent, and because I didn't know anything, I made many embarrassing mistakes on several occasions, which made the Dean family and the He family unhappy. Ethan's gaze at me was therefore full of scrutiny. Originally, by marrying me, he lost the resources for marriage alliance. His career was getting more and more difficult. Now he is even more ridiculed. It's as if there is a wall standing between him and me. I was ashamed and inferior for a long time, but my personality is very simple. I simply thought that integrating into the luxury circle of Jiangqing and being a good Ethan's wife might be able to cross that wall. I shamelessly asked Ethan's mother to take me into the luxury circle of Jiangqing. I read day and night and got a degree. I was on call 24 hours a day and listened to Ethan's mother's instructions in the early morning. I boldly helped Mrs. He catch her husband's mistress and thus got the afternoon tea invitation ticket to the Yanqing gathering of wives. In order to be able to prepare for the charity dinner, I accompanied the wives to play golf in turn. I was a caddy for 30 days. In those years, I did everything I could and was also servile. Sometimes Ethan frowned in confusion. With your background, why do you have to work so hard to integrate? I smiled. I want to help you. He chuckled. A long time later, I realized that he was laughing contemptuously. In the 7th year of marriage, I finally gained the recognition of the luxury circle in Jiangqing. My seat at the Yanqing gathering was right next to Grandma Dean. I could entertain celebrities and introduce business smoothly, and skillfully feed cards on the card table to win a deal. Ethan still threw his clothes to me when he came home. There were secretaries of different shapes and colors but all simple and stubborn. Seeing the order of over 100 million from the Wang family that I brought, his gold-rimmed glasses couldn't hide the mockery in his eyes even with the reflection. Do you really think that just by coaxing them a few words, you can help the Ethan family win the order? You shouldn't overestimate yourself. It's mainly because of the Ethan family that Grandma Dean gives face. Ethan's eyes contained irritability and disgust. Why did you become like them? Just as vulgar, smooth, and compliant. Do you know it's disgusting? Where's your previous spirit? I stood beside him and calmly lowered my eyes. For 7 years, I worked so hard, but that wall was still there. Later, I transferred Ethan's new secretary. That night, he drove me out of the villa. It was the middle of winter in December. I was wearing a thin sweater and a silk dress, standing barefoot in front of the villa on the mountainside of Jiangping Mountain. In winter nights in Jiangcheng, the wind is always very strong, the kind that roars loudly. It fills every inch of my skin and is as cold as my heart. The street lights are dotted on the winding and desolate mountain road like distant stars one by one. Jiangping Mountain in the rich area is rarely visited. There wasn't a single car, and my mobile phone was also in the villa. I stood there helplessly. My face was numb from the blowing wind, and my whole body was shaking like a sieve. The stinging pain of every breath being poured back into my lungs by the cold wind. And when I turned my head, I could see the bustling and dazzling night view of the whole Jiangcheng. The neon-flashing Jiangcheng and the bitterly cold body are extremely separated. The luxurious life of the Ethan family is ultimately an illusion. I am just an ant. Unconsciously, tears streamed down. After a long time, Ethan opened the door. He was wrapped in a soft and warm cashmere sweater. His hair was still a little wet, and his whole body was in a lazy and comfortable state after taking a bath. I, curled up in the corner, looked even more embarrassed. A touch of pride floated in Ethan's eyes, and his tone was polite and gentle. Nina, if you are obedient, you can enjoy a comfortable life with peace of mind. It turns out that those gentle dissuasions of his in the past were just politely ordering me. Perhaps he didn't like that secretary who was like me in the past so much. But he couldn't tolerate me challenging his authority. I helped him win all the orders, all relying on the Ethan family. And I don't have an account in my name. Every penny I spend comes from his secondary card. I have nothing. I will never be respected. He just wants to control me. I wanted to laugh, but my cheeks were so numb that I couldn't make any movement. If he doesn't love me and looks down on me, then why did he marry me and give me hope? Haven't I done well enough for him all these years? Ethan turned around gracefully. I clearly heard every sound of my lips and teeth trembling in my mouth. All the joints of my body were already frozen and painful, and I endured the abdominal pain. Without being stubborn, I followed him step by step with my stiff feet. He nodded in satisfaction. I smiled faintly. Ethan patronizingly touched my head. He thought I was tamed. I was just relieved. Relieved that there is nothing behind Ethan's wall. He is just a shallow, despicable, fickle man with only good looks. My God has collapsed. It doesn't matter. I, Nina, am willing to admit defeat. In the 10 odd days after Ethan stopped my card, he sent me many messages. But his attitude seemed to be the arrogance of a god descending to the mortal world. Come back and admit your mistake, and you will still be Ethan's wife. Seeing that I ignored him, he asked some unimportant things intermittently. What should I wear for tomorrow's board meeting? Where is my sapphire collar clip? Where is the gift prepared for the He family before? I have a stomachache, Nina. Nina, I've given you so many steps. You should be sensible and take them when it's time. I replied, I don't know about these trivial matters either. Aunt Lu and Butler Wang are responsible for your daily life. After being driven out that night, I handed over all his daily life to them. I will no longer be a free nanny nor be moved by myself anymore. In the middle of that night, Aunt Lu sent me to the hospital. My leg already had an old injury. This time it was completely frozen. When I woke up in the hospital, there was still Ethan's message on my phone. Don't pretend to be pitiful. Prepare for the family banquet the day after tomorrow. After going back, everything was as usual. We can't go back to the days of being chased for debts just because Ethan is scum. Making oneself live better is the top priority. Those cold meals and warm milk after drinking that made Ethan be self-indulgent in sentiment were prepared by Aunt Lu. The portable stomach medicine and the informed gift were taken care of by the butler. The clothes and accessories in his closet that are regularly updated are matched by the clothing consultant. He lives in the illusion of always controlling me. I continue to be Ethan's wife who is at ease in the wives' circle. But this time it's not for him but for myself. Proceed step by step. Taking advantage of the opportunity of Ethan's mother in the legal circle, I established relationships and finally waited for the opportunity to invest in the jewelry studio of Tina, the illegitimate daughter of the Tina family. I subtly introduced customers and used the resources of charity auctions to find high-quality goods. After the studio established its reputation and connections, I then invested in a jewelry factory. After many years, the account with zero balance finally has a considerable amount. I have the confidence not to endure Ethan anymore. When I was rock climbing, Ethan's mother called. She should be getting a manicure somewhere or having a fitness trainer massage her. Hearing my slight panting, her voice was proud and bossy. Nina, I heard that Ethan has stopped your card. After going out for a few days, you know life is hard, right? It's not me saying this. You are from a low background and are only full of petty love. Which wife would file for divorce when her husband is promoted and her son's studies are progressing and life is at its most glorious moment? I laughed at her. Does divorce have to be chosen at an inelegant time? Her voice suddenly became sharp. You have put in so much effort to be Ethan's wife, but it all goes to waste. Are you willing? Looking up at the high sky, my toes tried hard to step on the small rock points, about to fall but not falling. I sneered. Oh, she's right. I have put in a lot to be Ethan's wife. But does she know that sunk costs don't participate in major decisions? Ethan's mother continued to talk nonstop. A woman like you who comes from a rat hole has enjoyed the good days given to you by the Ethan family for so many years. How dare you ask for so much in a divorce? If you dare to divorce, I'll make you have nothing at all. I gently pressed the earphone and cut off the call. I don't prove my innocence, I don't explain myself, and I don't persuade them. Slowly stretching out an arm, below is a thrilling cliff. But I am a relaxed and skilled eagle about to spread its wings. The next day, the lawyer sent me a record of Ethan's mother suspected of soliciting prostitution. I am different from those Cinderella in wealthy families. I am not kind. That night, the angry Ethan family made an announcement. The secretary of Grandma Dean sent a message informing me that I don't need to take care of the dinner party anymore. I have been preparing for the dinner party for half a year. It's about to be held soon, but now it's cancelled just like that. Then, messages came to me like snowflakes. Mrs. He, you want to divorce Ethan? Sister, don't be impulsive. Who doesn't want such a diamond bachelor? Grandma Dean, I like you very much, so see the pros and cons clearly. Tina, Ethan is so mean. He spread the word that he wants a divorce. He recently changed to a beautiful secretary. You finally left. You were never worthy of Ethan. Stopping the card and cutting off the economy is the first step. Spreading the news and cutting off my proud career is the second step. In his eyes, except for organizing the Jiangqing charity banquet and flattering those wives, I am good for nothing. I will definitely be terrified. Unfortunately, Ethan is wrong. I don't want anything in Jiangqing anymore. What is there to regret and bow my head? My past meekness and compromise were because I loved him and obeyed him. Later, it was because I didn't care when saying goodbye. Looking at the sunrise and sunset in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows. I drank all my favorite sweet wines and completed the materials for applying for a master's degree in art history in Hong Kong City. In the past, I couldn't study for a master's degree because I was poor. Later, I studied for an MBA for Ethan. Later, when I wanted to study again, he said it was unnecessary. Now, I can study what I like. At the moment when the materials were submitted, Nina, who was all wrinkled up, was gradually unfolding. The accountant sent a message. The offshore account had a full 20 million in cash. The weather in Jiangqing in May is really nice. The rumors of divorce are like a punch hitting cotton. The always mature and elegant Ethan is capricious in my phone. At first, he talked to me about the place where we met. Jiangbei village is going to be demolished. I have already reserved the house built on the land we rented in advance. Why talk to me about the place 12 years ago? Then in these 11 years of marriage, what am I? As I didn't reply, he became a clown again. Why do you think you can take away 3 houses by getting a divorce? Nina, you'd better bow your head and admit your mistake. Because of the harsh prenuptial agreement, I can't get much. However, Ethan thinks that I am not even worth 3 properties. How cheap am I? My mouth tastes bitter and salty. I exhaled softly and slowly, and finally it turned into a self-mocking smile on my lips. The lawyer frequently communicated with me and said that Ethan's side was slow to talk about divorce and we could file for divorce. I am alone and don't want to cause unnecessary troubles. I just want to take the money and leave. I called Ethan. You and she have been involved for the past 2 years. Aren't you afraid that I will tell the Dean family? Can't we part amicably? She was his first love and also the second wife of Mr. Dean. Ethan laughed. You are making a fuss just because of this? Haha, he is still so self-righteous. Don't worry. I didn't take Shiyu back. She got some shares from Dean. And that ring? I interrupted him. I don't want to know Mr. Ethan's plans. I just want to push forward the divorce process. There came Ethan's muffled chuckle from the phone. Nina, you are so stubborn. You are very much like when we first met. Most mice living at the bottom will turn into shrews. At that time, Ethan's father and Ethan's mother were hiding abroad, and Ethan had to live in the urban village. When being bullied by a bad landlord, it was me who argued with the landlord. He just chuckled behind me. Because his laugh was so nice and he looked so noble, I couldn't bear to scold him. When he was being chased for debts, I also helped him escape and hurt my leg. If it weren't for the old injury, it wouldn't have been frozen on that cold night. At that time, while crying, he carried me on his back and ran 5 kilometers with all his strength. When he sent me to the hospital, he was so tired that he vomited. After vomiting, he eagerly looked for a doctor everywhere in the emergency room. It turns out that we really loved each other so much in the past. My heart is icy. I cut off the phone. Ethan sent a message like a benefactor. Nina, I forgive your unreasonable behavior. Wear the ring and that dress at tomorrow night's dinner party. His secretary sent a white fishtail dress studded with pearls and crystals. This dress is from the C family's current season's runway show and was just released yesterday. Ethan must have used a lot of connections to send it to me on time without error. The sunlight in front of the window scattered on this very expensive dress. Extremely gorgeous and dazzling. Even an old wife who has seen big scenes will be moved by this beautiful dress. I burst out laughing and then my lips kept curling down and then up. Ethan is well versed in military tactics. He suppressed and belittled me. Now suddenly he gives me a sweet treat. Ridiculous. The little care I once longed for came when I discarded it like trash. I met Ethan in front of the mountain villa on the top of the mountain. Ethan is still captivating. His hair is neatly combed. The gold-rimmed glasses are just right on his high nose bridge. The cufflinks of his well-fitting suit are emeralds. When he saw me, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes, and then amazement. The strapless dress showed off my wheat-colored skin and thin muscles gained from rock climbing recently. I neatly combed a high ponytail. Full of vitality. Ethan likes wild and original ecological women. All his 6 secretaries are like this. But when he saw that I wasn't wearing the dress he sent, his face darkened instantly. I was wearing a black dress with dark-set rhinestones. Ethan's eyes glowed with a cold light and then he closed them and smiled. Arrogantly and condescendingly said, "For the sake of you not being like those wives, I forgive you this time." After saying that, he took me in. Gorgeous banquet hall, melodious waltz. As soon as I stepped in, I saw Mrs. He surrounded by many wives, talking about that pigeon blood red. People in the banquet hall saw me and Ethan and cast curious glances. Most of those glances were looking forward to a good show. Ethan smiled gently and glanced at me. He was saying, "Without him, I really have nothing." At this moment, Ethan affectionately put his arm around me and then took me around to greet people. The curious glances of everyone became soft and friendly again. Ethan lowered his head and whispered softly in my ear, "See? If you divorce, you will have nothing." I lowered my eyes without any waves. I don't care. In a world that doesn't belong to me, if there is nothing, there is nothing. In the meantime, she came over gracefully. She is Ethan's first love who abandoned him twice. The first time was when the Ethan family was on the verge of bankruptcy and I was giving Ethan boxed lunches. The second time was when Ethan proposed a marriage alliance again. She chose to marry the more wealthy and powerful second married Mr. Dean. In short, if she wasn't so stupid now, I would admire her. Seeing the pink diamond on my hand, her face changed and she looked at Ethan. I guess she is the original owner of this diamond ring. Ethan's indifference towards me has reached the point where he blatantly gave me a ring engraved with XSY. So, on the day I received it, I filed for divorce. He has humiliated me enough. I don't want to endure it anymore. She disdainfully sneered, such a good diamond is paired with such a dress? No taste. This diamond is nothing but a string of numbers to be returned to Ethan for me. Today I wear it just to set off Mrs. He. As a salesperson, after-sales service must be in place. She continued triumphantly, hey, your departure was so sudden. I have been so busy preparing for the dinner party this month that I haven't had a moment to rest. I looked at her calmly. I couldn't understand. She used to be a person with clear goals. Why is she being stupid and entangled with Ethan? I gracefully turned around and drank. The wine at this dinner party was all from the winery I found half a year ago. It was all according to my wishes. I drank very happily. And thanks to me, the dinner party was also full of excitement. She felt the long-lost attention in the crowd. After enjoying the good wine, I went to the backstage skillfully. After a while, the whole hall darkened. On the big screen in the banquet hall, pictures of a man's back opening the door for Shiyu in a hotel were shown in a loop. Shiyu's husband is 12 years older than her. A rich old man and a young wife are gossiping themselves. Moreover, the man in the photo has a straight figure and is definitely not the plump figure of Mr. Dean. The whole place seemed to be in an uproar like water pouring into hot oil. The people in the backstage were in a panic and in a flurry. Through the bustling crowd, I looked at Shiyu who was coming. Her beautiful face became ferocious and she shouted, "It's you. You want to divorce Ethan. You are jealous of me." Just as she was about to rush over, Pa! With a crisp sound, her face was slapped hard to one side. Her fair cheek turned red instantly. Grandma Dean stood there calmly, and the green jadeite on her wrist still glowed with a lustrous light. It's hard to imagine that this slap was given by Grandma Dean, who is always well-mannered. As soon as she saw Grandma Dean, she immediately became as quiet as a chicken. Grandma Dean looked at me and said slowly, "You always do things steadily. Why are you being so impulsive this time? How will you stay in Jiangqing in the future?" I laughed heartily. "I am about to leave Jiangqing. What's there to stay for?" Grandma Dean's deep eyes widened slightly, and then she chuckled. She realized that I was desperate. I shrugged and walked out of the venue gracefully. Ethan's wife completely exposed the scandal of the Dean family's daughter-in-law. The Ethan family will have bad luck later. As soon as I walked out of the banquet hall, Ethan's mother came over aggressively, picked up her Himalayan bag and was about to hit me. I calmly dodged, and she staggered and hit the wall. The awkward posture had nothing to do with the elegance she always emphasized. At this time, Ethan's mother looked at me in surprise and shouted, "Nina, what's wrong with you today?" Her pointed red nails pointed at my eyes. "Have you forgotten that the Ethan family has given you more than 10 years of good life? When I let you divorce, you will have nothing." I sneered. "I live well because I am virtuous, hardworking, diligent, and proper. If I don't do any one thing well, I would have been driven out by you long ago. Don't take advantage and then act coy." After saying that, I put a stack of photos in my bag into her hand. Her angry expression instantly collapsed, leaving only panic. The photos showed her and a fitness trainer entering and leaving the police station, as well as a record of suspected solicitation of prostitution. In their circle, as long as it's not known to everyone, it doesn't matter. But with these, not to mention Ethan's father, even the dignity she has always talked about all her life is gone. I was like a benefactor and said condescendingly, "Were you very panicked when you went to the police station? Why didn't I and the lawyer who was in charge of handling the relationship answer the phone?" I gently narrowed my eyes and smiled. "You forgot. That lawyer was arranged by me for you." As I became more capable, Ethan's mother also asked me to manage her personal affairs together. She got so used to it that she forgot to be prepared for danger in times of peace. I also had someone report suspected solicitation of prostitution at the place where she opened a room every Wednesday. In her surprised eyes, I saw my calm expression. There was a painting under your account in the A Islands before. I like it very much. Like Ethan, I threatened softly in a tone, you can give it to me as a divorce gift, okay? It's only 5 million. Auntie, you must be willing to use it to buy peace of mind, right? Her delicately maintained face seemed to crack. I shrugged indifferently. In her hateful eyes, I took off the difficult-to-wear JC high heels and walked out barefoot gracefully, standing in front of the steps of the mountain villa. Tonight's moon is especially bright and round. The rhinestones on the black dress sparkle in the moonlight. This dress was given to me by Ethan when I attended a banquet for the first time. At that time, I followed him step by step. He patted my hand and comforted me, this dress makes you so beautiful. They won't care about what's inappropriate about you. Today he didn't recognize it. And this should be my last appearance in Jiangcheng. It can be considered as having a beginning and an end. The mountain breeze in Jiangcheng came in due time. I spread my arms and took a gentle deep breath. Going crazy is right. The wrinkled me finally stretched out and became light and lively with the wind. I had just taken a few steps. There was a sudden dizziness. Looking back, it was Ethan with knitted brows. He stared at me with a solemn expression and asked, Nina, I have tolerated you for a long time in the past month or so. I sneered indifferently and said nothing. I bought the pink diamond you wanted most. I lowered myself to order a dress for you and brought you here. Why are you still like this? I looked at him silently. Ethan's confidence when facing me finally turned into impatience and displeasure. He took my hand and looked at the diamond ring with a piercing sarcasm. Who do you think gave you such a good life? I chuckled softly. Slowly took off that ring and put it into his chest pocket without hesitation, his brows knitted even tighter. What do you mean? Is I, Nina, very lowly in your eyes? With a ring engraved with someone else's name, do you still expect me to be grateful? Ethan, you are really disgusting. The moment I turned around, my arm was pulled back. He put one arm around my waist and the other around the back of my neck. Just as he was about to kiss me. Pa! His face was slapped hard to one side by me. Ethan looked at me in surprise. I said word by word, I, Nina, am from a low background and crazy. I leaned close to his ear and smiled. If you don't agree to divorce, I can take out the frontal photos I took of you and Shiyu's private meeting. His handsome cheek was full of red marks, and there was a hint of panic in his expression. There is nothing between me and Shiyu. I put my index finger to my lips to signal silence. Shoo, whether there is or not, as long as it is announced, the Ethan family will completely break with the Dean family. I remember you just planned to cooperate on a real estate project. I snapped my fingers lightly, opened my eyes wide, and smiled as if threatening him. Billions of the Ethan family will be wasted. The dim moon hung low on the top of Jiangping Mountain. The moonlight was soft like catkins. Ethan's face was as pale as paper, but there was a hint of ecstasy in his dark eyes. When I helped Mrs. He catch her husband's mistress, because Mrs. He was too reckless, she was scolded by Mr. He for a long time. Mrs. He accompanied Mr. He from humble beginnings and immediately quarreled with him until her face was red and her neck was thick. As a result, when Mr. He said, "Stop the card," Mrs. He immediately stopped. At that time, I still loved Ethan, but I still made some preparations by some strange coincidence. First, I have an unknown offshore account. Second, every year I will give money to suitable people among the bodyguards in the form of bonuses to be informants. I also know that he and Shiyu didn't do anything improper that night. But he and I are over. Whether there is or not, it's over. It's better for me to use it. I walked barefoot on the flat and clean winding asphalt road of Jiangping Mountain. The soles of my feet were firmly on the ground. Every step seemed like a kiss with the ground. Ah, I finally said goodbye to this crappy place. The sharp roar of a sports car came, and a gray Panamera stopped in front of me. Dean had curly hair and smiled. Nina, you did a great job today. Shiyu is finally going to be divorced by my dad. Dean is the child of the first wife of the Dean family. Shiyu is his stepmother. I was desperate to help him mess up his stepmother's Shiyu who wanted to meddle in the family property. He gave me a house in Hong Kong City. A fair trade. Dean's light brown deer eyes were full of smiles, and his tiger teeth were exposed when he raised his lips. Nina, do you want me to save your boring life? I glanced at him indifferently and sarcastically said, you haven't even figured out your own life. Dean chuckled mischievously, and his eyes suddenly widened in surprise again. I got into his sports car. You said you don't want to be saved? I looked at him speechlessly. It doesn't mean I don't need a ride. It will be dawn if I walk. Why should I make things difficult for myself? Dean let out a ha, accompanied by the roar of the engine. When passing by the white European-style Ethan's ancestral home, I saw Nina who was huddled in the corner 5 years ago. Her eyes were red and there was blood under her. She stared at me helplessly. I couldn't help but sneer at myself. I turned to look at Dean and said, you can also withdraw the big order that the Dean family gives to the Ethan family every year. There is no benefit. Dean lowered his eyes and agreed. For him, it's just right to find a new partner. Shuttling through the highway on Jiangping Mountain, the street lamps one after another are like stars, lighting up the way I came out. I soon received the transfer agreement for that painting. Ethan's mother probably wants to buy peace of mind with a 5 million painting. It's not worth using any means. Yes, 5 million can buy her peace of mind, but I am not even worthy of having a piece of haute couture worth 100,000. Recently in Jiangcheng, there is a lot of commotion. Shiyu got divorced. The Tina family wants to divide the property of the Dean family. It's a bloody storm. A few days later, I brought a lawyer to the old house of the Ethan family. Ethan changed his personality and wore a linen casual shirt and shorts. There were light white letters embroidered on his chest, somewhat casual and chic. That was custom made when we were on our honeymoon. I also have a skirt. The sweetness and beauty in marriage only existed when I was just pregnant. Occasionally, he would kiss me affectionately and touch my stomach with love in his eyes. I would lean against him and rub against him. The rough feeling of the sun on the linen clothes made people feel comfortable. But later, the company's affairs became more and more troublesome, and the difficulties brought by losing the marriage alliance became more and more apparent. He became silent, indifferent, and frowned coldly. Today, I only wore a white t-shirt. Ethan looked at me attentively and gently like he was looking at a work document. Smile. This time I really belonged to his official business. He smiled faintly. The wrinkles at the corners of his eyes were full of elegance, showing patience and gentleness that he had never had before. Nina, if you want those 3 houses, I will give them to you even if we don't divorce. If we don't divorce, will it belong to me? Will he immediately say again that without him I have nothing? He gently adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. His eyes were clear. His voice was low and slow. It was like the voice when he told me about his adventure in Antarctica 13 years ago in the dilapidated rental house. That voice healed me, calmed me, gave me hope and vastness. Nina, those secretaries are only by my side because they are so much like you in the past. The day I met Shiyu was for that diamond ring. I remember when you attended the charity banquet for the first time 11 years ago, you looked at Shiyu for a long time. I had been looking for it for many years, and this one is still the most suitable. At that time, I just wanted to see what kind of woman she was who could abandon Ethan twice. It turns out that the ring was a misunderstanding. If it were 5 years ago, I might have been foolishly touched. At this moment, there are no more ripples in my heart, and there is no place to fall anymore. I said calmly, Ethan, when you were willing to pull me out of the quagmire and marry me, I loved you until death. When Ethan heard until death, his eyes flashed slightly, showing a hint of being pleased. Yes, he has always enjoyed my love and felt secure, but love will be exhausted. In my eyes, you are so ordinary, shallow, arrogant, and fickle. You are so unworthy. Ethan paused as if bound by something and couldn't move. Ethan finally signed the divorce agreement. I looked outside. Patches of white roses were blooming vigorously under the bright sun, like fireworks in broad daylight. At this moment, a huge burden is lifted from my shoulders, and the stars appear before me. My eyes were so sore that I couldn't help but laugh heartily. Ethan's mother's shrill scream came, "Bitch! Take the money and get out quickly." She glared at me like a female demon, came forward and grabbed my collar as if to slap me. Ethan stopped her with one hand. At this time, Jasper shouted at the door, "Grandma?" Only then did Ethan's mother calm down. She attaches great importance to her eldest grandson, especially an excellent eldest grandson. Jasper came forward and pulled Ethan's mother, glanced at me indifferently and said, "Grandma, since she didn't fight for custody of me, you don't need to be angry. I still have a piano performance at school tomorrow. Don't pay attention to her. Come and see how I practice." He pulled Ethan's mother and slowly walked out of the study. Just before his figure disappeared, he glanced at me tacitly. Even Ethan felt it was inappropriate and apologized, "Sorry, my mom." And Jasper. "These days I asked him to call you, but he didn't want to." I shook my head without surprise. When Ethan saw me off, he rarely kept looking down at me. He wanted to reach out and touch my cheek. His rough fingertips made me step back uncomfortably. Disappointed, he lowered his eyes, and then his eyes drifted into memories, showing a rare softness. I remembered the 20 yuan box lunch you bought for me a few days ago. There was a lot of meat and it was very delicious. At that time, only you supported me. My friends avoided me. I sneered. The sunlight filtered through the tree shadows, and the breeze lifted his broken hair. Ethan's maturity was weakened by the sunlight, revealing a little of the confusion he had only when he was down and out. He said in a low voice, "Nina, only you will never give up on me. That's why I married you despite opposition." I smiled. "Isn't it because she abandoned you for the second time, so you grabbed me as a life-saving straw?" His throat seemed to be choked, but I really fell in love with you. So you belittle me? Control me? Look down on me? Ethan's eyes suddenly turned red. I just can't accept that you become like them. I hope you will always pay attention to me, always be entangled and in pain for me, and always show that you love me very much. I scoffed. You hope I am dignified and help you, and at the same time hope I am as stubborn, ignorant, and simple as when I was in the urban village? Ethan, you are so pitiful. You have no ability to love at all. Because of his inability to love and his high self-esteem, he has tortured me for so many years. Ethan humbly asked, "Nina, if this divorce satisfies you, can you give me another chance?" Ethan still hasn't recognized the reality. He still thinks that the property in this divorce is the gift he coaxed me with. He hurriedly grabbed my hand. "Nina, shall we have another child? When Jasper was just born, we were also very good. Believe me." I laughed at him. "I gave you a chance. The child you always mentioned was gone as early as the night I was driven out of the villa 5 years ago." His face was as pale as paper, and his lips and teeth trembled imperceptibly. I laughed brightly and freely. "It was you who killed your child, Ethan. The relationship between people is not broken through with one blow. A broken relationship is bound to be punished for multiple crimes. 5 years ago, on Jasper's 6th birthday, the day I caught Ethan flirting with the new secretary. Jasper was already older. He admired his father, who appeared in various financial magazines, very much. He earnestly asked me to let his father come and celebrate his birthday. The night before, I told Ethan, who came back late, that it was Jasper's birthday tomorrow. He nodded and walked into the room, passing me indifferently as usual. At that time, I was still secretly holding a pregnancy test stick. I thought again that when I went to the hospital to confirm it tomorrow, I would take the B ultrasound report and then say it on Jasper's birthday. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but smile with happiness and longing. I naively hypnotized myself. Even if Ethan was cold and picky towards me and couldn't see me, maybe this child would be a new turning point. On his birthday, Jasper sat in front of the luxurious birthday cake, looking at the gate with admiration, waiting for Ethan to come back and celebrate his birthday. He even discussed timidly and cheerfully with me what his father would give him. We waited for